And the story today starts on one day when Jesus was making his way through Jericho. And the people of Jericho are fed up. They were fed up because they had to pay too much of their hard-earned money to the Romans. And they had to pay too much money to the Romans because of Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was the man who collected the money for the Romans, which was bad enough because the Romans were the enemy. But Zacchaeus was worse than that. He made people give him extra money, and he kept this extra money for himself. So Zacchaeus was very rich, but he didn't have any friends. No one liked him. But on this particular day, Zacchaeus heard some noise out in the street, and he wondered what all the fuss was about. He listened carefully and heard people shouting, "Jesus is coming! Jesus is coming to Jericho!" Zacchaeus had heard of Jesus and didn't want to miss out on the excitement. And he did really want to see Jesus. He'd heard amazing things, and the things that Jesus had said sounded wonderful. But when he went out onto the street, it was beginning to get very crowded. He tried to peer around the people, but there were too many getting in his way. He tried to jump up and down to see over the tops of their heads. But Zacchaeus was a short man, and he still couldn't see. But he really wanted to see Jesus. And then he had a good idea. He climbed up a sycamore fig tree. He felt a bit silly sitting in the tree. He hadn't done that for years. After all, he was an important man that worked for the Romans and had lots of money. But he did really, really want to see Jesus. So he didn't care what people thought. He watched the crowds and was really pleased with himself for getting a good view over the heads of all the other people. And there was Jesus coming now. There was Jesus stopping right beneath him. Oh no, there was Jesus looking up at him in the tree. "Zacchaeus, come down at once. I must spend the night at your house." Zacchaeus was so pleased. He hurried down the tree and welcomed Jesus into his house. Jesus and Zacchaeus talked and talked. But the people of Jericho were not pleased. "Jesus has gone to Zacchaeus' house," they muttered. "Zacchaeus is not a good person," they grumbled. "It's not fair," they moaned. "I wanted Jesus to visit my house, not spend time with that cheat." But Jesus and Zacchaeus talked and talked. And while they talked, Zacchaeus began to catch something. Zacchaeus began to catch Jesus' kindness and catch Jesus' goodness and be infected with Jesus' generous love. You know what? Zacchaeus began to change. In the end, Zacchaeus stood up and said, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of what I own to those who are poor. And if I've cheated anyone out of anything, I will pay it back. In fact, I will pay back 4 times the amount I took." Zacchaeus certainly shared his money around that day. I wonder if anyone else in Zacchaeus caught kindness and goodness and generosity that day.